Hello world, Mr. Resistor here, continuing our temporarily Omega journey. And let's see, we've got filaments and stuff. There's right. Okay. Let's do our scanning, we'll do our manufacturing, and the other thing I want to do today is fit our perseverance. Which reminds me, I have some parts. If it's this one. back to
warp drive active. Warp drive active. Docking permission requested. Docking request accepted.
okay. Need to pause for a moment. Go turn my pie. So I will be right back. Okay. Pie is turned. Now, as here we go. All right. Let's call it Severance. Double check I spelled that correctly. All right. Okay, so this here is Loru's fitting. And it's definitely not a bad one, but I don't have the skills for it. Salvage drone, I don't really feel like I need. I don't know. I do like salvage drones. And ice mining is omega locked, right? Yeah. So maybe it does actually make sense to go ahead and get those skills. I should have the skill points. I don't think I've ever used this particular interface in this particular way. I think it's pretty cool.
Skill training completed.
Alright, so drone nav computer. Let's just talk about this vet because he does a few things that I don't typically do. So drone nav computer increases drone speed, which is cool, right? Like, get your drones out to attack, they're gonna apply better because they're spending less time traveling. They return faster. For mining drones, especially ice mining drones, which are super slow, this could be a great addition. If you're in a situation where you can't be close to your target, or even just want to be able to recall your drones more quickly, make a big difference. So drones we have here. Dunk salvage drone. How much? I have never used this drone, but it's 7 million ISK each. I think regular T2 salvage drone is gonna work fine for me. So we'll switch that out. Got the EC300s. So these are E-War drones. So let's just go ahead and pull up the info there. Like ECM drone, right? So they jam the sensors of somebody who's trying to lock you up, right? So if you can break the lock, then you can break warp disruption, webbing, their ability to attack you, right? Like, basically, the idea is to allow you to get away, but it'll also reduce the amount of damage you're taking. So what else do we have? We've got Hornets. I'm not sure why Hornets. I feel like that's probably pretty arbitrary. Let's see, kinetic damage. Yeah, I don't know. What do I have? Do I have my Republic Warriors? Yes, I do. A ton of them, though. Gonna have to restock at some point. Alright. So the EC300s make sense for me, I feel like. In my case, I'd rather have the Republic Warriors. Can I just do this? Yeah. Okay. Salvage drones. Just the T1 is fine. Got it here. this down to 8. I'm actually not totally sure why we need a probe launcher on this. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna remove that because I don't need the I'm not going to be doing any scanning on this ship. I don't think. And, I don't see a reason for the expense. So, what do we got? Multi-spectrum, afterburner. Navigation. Stirs, we got small polycarbon. So that's to get this down with the afterburner off. We're at sub 4 second align, which is not terrible. 500, let's see. I'm kind of inclined to put a shield extender here instead of the drone nav computer. But I don't know that it actually makes enough difference. Yeah, maybe we just leave it. So, typically, instead of worrying about align time, I'm going to be more concerned about tank, you know. Because I, not that I'm think that it's going to protect me from a ganker. Like, A, I'm not super worried about gankers because I don't operate anywhere near Jita. And B, like, I hate to say it, but my reaction time in those situations is always bad. So even if I'm well set up, like, you know, if you watch my faction warfare videos, you've seen my PvP skills, which is typically not good, right? Um, so I don't expect to prevail in one of those scenarios. So I'm not particularly concerned about that. What I'm more concerned about is NPCs, right? Rats. I just want to have to not have to worry about that, right? So, to that end, here's my thought. First of all, I'm gonna swap these out. We're gonna go with, and probably these two. Redo the rigs. All right. So, shield extender. First of all, medium, T2. Kind of an obvious choice, right? That's putting me up to 10k. And it does increase my signature radius. Not super concerned about it. Right? But that's kind of the default for my fittings. Then I'm gonna go with EM Shield Amplifier because, again, if it's something that I have to activate, and we're talking about, like, I don't know, a gate camp or something like that, like, I want it to be something I don't have to think about it. I want it to be something that's going to be on by default. And for most of, like, my hauler fits, I tend to use shield amplifiers to fill in my resistances. And then, because of the distances involved in this, instead of an afterburner, we are going to go with a micro warp. So, I don't know. Is there a... These are all about the same. It's just a matter of cap and, well, the other things it affects, I guess. We'll go with the cold gas. And for rigs. This is where, let's see, resource processing. No. Shield target. Thermal. Feel like I particularly need additional. Let's see. Polycarb on there. The friction. Yeah, we'll do a polycarb and then we'll put on another shield extender. So this is more of the fit that I like. It's tankier, right? We've got improved resistance. We've got more shields, right? So we've got our EHP up to 12,500 from what, 8, whatever it was before, right? And this is just PvE, right? Not worried about PvP. So save this as V1. Okay. So again, not saying that Laurie's fit is bad. It isn't. He definitely knows fitting. He just has different preferences than I do. And, you know, I'm not even disagreeing with the theories behind his. He just has different concerns. But he is absolutely correct that you are never safe in Eve. So, you know, make your own choices. I am a dad, but I'm not your dad. All right. So, here's what we've got left to buy. So we are headed to heck in our partially fitted Perseverance.
Warp drive active. Warp drive active. Warp drive active. Docking permission requested. Docking request accepted.
Members of Bruder Tribe invite all Atari to join them in a vigil for the fallen. Contact your local field office for details.
Here we go. If anybody's got suggestions for what to put in this extra high slot. Oh, you know what? I don't know why I didn't think about this earlier. It's gotta be Festival Launcher. Let's go with these ones. Okay, there we go. Now our fit is complete. So let's try it out. Do some ice bending. Oh. Huh. Okay. There's one right here. Cool. Insurance. I feel like I haven't really been buying insurance lately, mostly because I haven't been doing faction warfare, so I'm not really losing ships, but I do think that insurance is a good idea. Unless you've got so much ISK that you're just not worried about it. Let's see. Move that there. Move that there. It's kind of a stubby, I don't know, kind of like a crab. I dig it. Okay. I like to put my drones in groups.
Warp drive active.
Just makes it easier to manage. Okay, so these are mining hold 21. So that's actually 3 loads. Cool. Our range is 16, which is like double. Nine there. 9 there. 10 there. It's our cycle time. 186. Okay, so that's quite a bit slower than the endurance. The endurance, I was at what, like 50-ish? So we're looking at over 3 times. But we've got additional range. We've got 3. Hard to say which one actually wins. I feel like the endurance is still looking pretty good. Burn my pie again. Alright. I'm gonna do the dumb thing and go AFK for a few minutes. Okay, the pie is in a precarious situation. The filling hasn't bubbled over yet, but it sure is thinking about it. Okay, so thinking about it, I feel like the endurance might be faster. I think the wild card is the crit rate. Like, if the perseverance really is the crit monster that Loru claims it is, and I'm not casting doubt, I'm just, you know. I studied too much math to just make those assumptions without actually doing the analysis. So that's, and I'm not going to do the analysis. Like, let's just be clear about that. I am too lazy for that. But you know, and really to analyze that, we need a whole lot of data, right? This one time of being out here getting, you know, just doing a load of ice basically, or, well, 3 loads is what it's gonna be. It's not gonna be a big enough sample, right? Um, where the crit rate is gonna make a big difference is gonna be over time. Um, you know, in the long run, in the, you know, like what, however many days I did ice mining. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Alright, so we've done 10. Let's just round off 10 hours of ice mining. Probably a reasonable estimate of the time actually mining. You know, for however many loads that was that I've deposited, right? That's the kind of sampling that you need in order to really verify how much of a difference the crit rate is making. Because you know, it's a what's the term? Well, there's a couple of terms. Reversion to the mean or law of large numbers is another way of expressing it. You know, if you're talking about any given cycle of your mining lasers, you're gambling, right? You've just got some low chance over an extended period of time. Then we get into what's called expected value, right? So the random chance will work itself out over a long enough period of time or a large enough sample size to be predictable, and you'll have a relatively consistent return on your investment of time, right? And this is why people say, you know, with regards to gambling, oh, time to take my pie out of the oven. All right. Well, I will go AFK once again, and once I get back, hopefully I'll remember what I was talking about. All right, I'm happy to report that we have pie baking success. The filling has not boiled over to make a gooey mess. It's looking quite good. Oh, there we go. Go ahead and fight that guy. So, Do I need the amount of tank that I fit for in order to take on, 1 to 3 Angel frigates? No. No, I do not. Um, but, you know, it makes me feel comfortable. And at the end of the day, that's kind of what matters for a fit. All right, so expected value, right? That's how uh, that's how the house always wins. They engineer the odds so that even if you manage to do well in the short term, in the long run, they will always come out ahead. And not by a lot, you know. They're not egregious, but, maybe they're coming out by $1 for every $100 that's that's bet, right? But averaged out over enough games, and they're making massive, massive amounts of money. And, and that's why, um, at least back in the day, I don't know if it's still true, they used to give out so many freebies, and it didn't matter to them whether you were typically a winner or a loser or whatever. You showed up often enough, right? Just being there was worth money to them. And there's a lot of reasons beyond that, that are beyond just expected value, right? Right? A person who's showing up a lot is probably going to bring other people. My ex's grandmother was one of those people who spent a lot of time in Reno. That's the closest casino area to where I grew up, Reno, Nevada. Um, I am not from Reno, not from Nevada, but um, yeah, my ex's grandmother went to Reno a lot. I don't remember the specific casino she typically went to. She always came out ahead gambling wise. Um, you know, she'd get the room comped and then win enough to cover, whatever shows and dinners and whatnot. Um, and occasionally she'd bring her kids, her grandkids, as the grandkids got older. Um, and so they still came out ahead, even though she was consistently winning at gambling, and she was just one of those people. Um, the reason she could afford to spend so much time in Reno is because she won $7 million in the lottery. So, you know, some people are just like that. Yeah, so anyway, we've got our expected value. The other thing you need to keep in mind for long term yield is, we'll call it time on station. How long can you be actively mining before you need to uh, go deposit your stuff? Um, that's why compression is so important for large scale mining, right? That's why I have Omega alts, is to do fleet mining with an Orca and 3 Exhumers. Um, Currently, that's 2 Hulks and a Mackinaw. I've thought about going to 3 Hulks. Um, with a slightly different screen setup, that might make more sense. Hulks mine really fast, but they got a small mining hold, so they require some babysitting. Okay. Now, in this case, I don't know how much of a difference time on station actually makes. Is he scanning me? I assume he's scanning me. So being able to hold 2 loads versus 3 loads, I don't think that's gonna be a huge difference. Is he going to exactly the one I was at? Like, that doesn't really make sense to me. I don't know, man. Right, we're still gonna have to make 2 trips in order to complete this thing. Oh, 'cause he's in a Pioneer. Alright, sus. Suspect this guy might be a ganger. So why else would you be here in a Pioneer? Is he just here to bump? Just to be an asshole? Like, what is he doing? understand what's going on with that guy. All right. Anyway, I don't think it makes a huge difference in this case because between the endurance and the perseverance, either way, you're looking at having to make 2 trips to the Orca per round, I guess you could say. There's maybe some slight advantage to the perseverance having this slightly bigger hold. You know, in the long run, over multiple cycles with the having to get 7, right? I don't know. Why do I feel like this dude is gonna like try and warp at me to bump me or something? One there, we got 2 there. One there, so that's gonna be 7. Unless we crit. Which reminds me. The amount, 1000, the optimal range.
The asteroid is depleted. The asteroid is depleted.
Chance is 5.4. Zero possibility. Okay. left their drones. Are they?
Warp drive
They're not
active.
T2, but they light or medium. I don't know. Well, I mean, I feel pretty good about our fit. Not gonna say it's amazing, not gonna say it's better than anyone else's, but I'm happy with it, and that's what matters. Um, I definitely have to do math to determine if it's significantly better than the endurance. I'm not convinced that it is, but you know, I'm not going to do the math because that's too much work.
Warp drive active.
As I could. Mining exploitation. Could
Stocking permission requested.
bump that up.
Skill training completed.
Mining
Challenge
upgrades.
accepted.
Eh. Ice harvesting. All the way up. Processing I don't care about. Right, mining destroyer is maxed out. Alright. Well, I don't think I can do much more than that. Plus, that actually used a significant chunk of skill points. Okay. Well, that's going to be it for me for today. So until next time, have a good one.